Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ignite. And I hope you guys are in for some really cool stuff today, this morning. So I appreciate you all getting up and coming in. My name is Dewain Robinson. I am a principal Copilot architect inside of Copilot Studio. And what you're going to find is that what we're going to talk about today is a little bit different than probably what you saw in your syllabus because of the fact that we decided we were going to give you more. We wanted to actually let you guys see some of the new cool stuff that we're doing. If any of you guys happen to know me from YouTube videos, or if you want to go explore that, you can scan this QR code. It'll take you to some links that'll give you how to connect with me, and also we'll get you to the YouTube channel that I have, which I record this stuff. And as a matter of fact, there'll actually be most of these demos that I'm going to do today. I'm going to make sure that those things are available for you guys on that YouTube channel later. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in. So if you don't know about Copilot Studio is an end-to-end SaaS platform for conversational AI building. We can use this to do two different key things. One is that I'm going to be able to build my own Copilot. I can go in or build my own custom agent, rather. And so what you're going to see is that gives you the ability to be in full control. But we can also do other things, and we're going to explore that today as well. So we're going to see both of these things working together. The other one is going to be that I'm going to be able to also extend first-party Copilot products. Now, the one that everyone likes to talk about, and the one we'll focus on today, primarily, is the M365 Copilot, because we've got a lot of cool new stuff that we launched at this event that I want to kind of highlight for you guys. And so let's kind of talk about this for a second, and let's talk about extending first, because the extensions are going to get powerful enough that what we said is custom is coming to extensions, which is really exciting. You don't have these limitations. For those that don't really know about extensions and the ability to do extensions, or we also will call these Copilot Agents now, it allows you to be able to go in and add your own flavor. Like, think of it that I like to talk about like a smart speaker. These first-party Copilot products are a lot like a smart speaker. They do things out of the box. They will, in the case of M365 Copilot, it is a personal productivity assistant is what it's there for. But we want to be able to make it where we can extend it and do more, right? And so the ability to do that, you can think of a smart speaker, does a bunch of stuff out of the box, but then also what it will do is you can extend it. So imagine, sure, you can set a timer and you can check the weather, and you can't turn that stuff on and off. But what we also can do is we can extend it to control your thermostat. And that's the concept we're talking about here, right? So I could talk about it more, but I figure you guys want to see more demos in this session than you do actually want to hear me yammer on. So with no further ado, let's get into some actual demonstrations. And I'm going to flip over here to our Copilot. So this is our interface for M365 Copilot. And some of the things that we've been able to do is we've been able to add the ability to extend this. And the way that I can do it is I can come in here and say, create an agent. And now I've got this interface where I can start dropping in different statements. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go build ourselves an agent really quick. And this agent, what I want it to do is I want it to help me with job postings and help me prepare for interviews and things like this. So we're just going to answer all these different questions that it's got here. This is the conversational builder that we're seeing. And as we go through, you'll notice that it's going to start visualizing this over on the right-hand side. And you can say, yep, sounds good. And voila, okay? So you can see that it's visualized it over here on this side, but notice that I can come in and I can actually configure this thing. And you can see all these different items here that it's allowing me to configure. So one of the things I'm going to go ahead and configure is I'm going to go in and give it some data that I'm going to ground it in. And this is a SharePoint document library, and notice I can even select a subfolder inside of this document library, and inside of that, we've got some human resources stuff. And I'm just going to go ahead and say create. Now, what we're doing here is we're actually taking and using a GPT model in order to be able to wrap this up and be able to make it where I give an instruction set in conjunction with some data that this thing is grounded in. And by doing this, I'm now able to actually go in and talk to this thing. So now I have the ability to see it, and you can see here now I've got my career coach. And you can see this career coach will show up over here on the side panel, and you can see like all the details within it. Now, interestingly enough, because of the fact that I want to be able to go in and do a few additional things with it, I'll show you that one of the things that you could do is I could come in and I can ask a question to it. And what it's going to do is it's going to go and it's going to answer this question. Now, there is a setting to turn off the web responses as well. So if I wanted this to stay grounded in only that SharePoint data, I can do that. But you can also see that what I just did, it answered this question, and it's using a Word document as the mechanism to answer this question for me. Now, this is all cool and everything, and a lot of people were really excited about this, but what I want to show you is something that you may not know you can do, which is, say I'm talking to the Copilot directly, but I want to actually address someone, and I tell people you need to think about people, humans speak with unspoken context. I will look at you and speak to you. It means that I'm talking to you versus I'm talking to someone else. And by just doing that, there's actually an unspoken context being passed. So we needed to bring that into Copilot itself. So the way we do that is we simply come in and I just do an @ and when I do an @ symbol, I can now @ the career coach. Notice now we can see who we're talking to here, right? And the beauty of this is that I can just drop this in, ask my question, and now I'm chatting with the career coach within the Copilot. And the context of this conversation is being passed as part of this going back and forth. But now I'm in control of when I'm switching context between these different applications or these different Copilot agents that I've built in. This really solves a lot of the major problems of trying to orchestrate the conversation. So if I ask a question about the tax rate, and I'm addressing the HR assistant, we can answer the question, the tax rate is your personal tax rate. But I can also address my financial, like financial services or my finance department chatbot or chat experience. And that allows me to be able to get the corporate tax rate with the same query because I have the unspoken context of who I'm speaking with, right? So this is all, one of the cool things that we've added. So hopefully that's interesting to you guys, and we'll now jump into another aspect. Actually, let me show you one last thing just so that this will tie it together for you. If I go back over here and I say I want to create an agent, notice that if you hover over here, and I'll see if I can zoom in here, you can see that it says open in full version, right? It's grayed out, right? Well, guess what, guys? That's a hint that what we're about to give you is going to be that we're going to bring you into the ability to bring a full Copilot Studio experience in just the same way that I did that other one, right? So this is going to really open the doors. I'm not just tied to grounding on data and a GPT capability. It gives me the ability to bring all the benefits of a custom agent. And if you're not familiar with Copilot Studio, we've got some major components that are associated to Copilot Studio. We've got things like we have topics, which is where I'm in full control of the conversation. We've got knowledge, which is basically a SAS-based RAG pattern, and that's only getting better and better over time. And we have actions. Actions are where I basically make a conversational wrapper around APIs or connectors or Power Automate flows or bot framework bots as skills. We've got analytics that are available for us as well. We've got channels, and if you're not familiar with a channel, Facebook Messenger is a channel, Teams is a channel. All of these are just ways I want to interact with people, and we'll even have telephone as a channel, telephony. We also have variables. So imagine you take the whole thing and I can maintain some data in the conversational context that I just want to keep around. So if I want to cache the information about a user who is logged on and keep their profile in, I can do that. So part of this, and I'm just going to click into these really quick just to kind of talk about them. Knowledge is really a key aspect of what we're doing. This is our SAS-based RAG pattern. So be aware that if you ever hear us talk about knowledge or generative answers, This is nothing more than a SAS-based RAG pattern. This is optional. You don't have to use this, but a lot of people like to use this because of the fact it has a lot of value in being able to do it. You don't have to set everything up yourself. The other thing is that variables are really key because variables allow me to set things like inputs and outputs on topics. It allows me to store data. I can do things, I can keep it. We have environment variables that can change based upon your environments. We have system variables that are available so that you don't have to keep up with things. They're just out-of-the-box variables. And then we have custom where you can define your own. And when you do that, you can say, is this a topic level? Is this a global level? Or is this a cross-session? So that makes it where you can control how long that variable stays in existence so that you can get the experience you're looking for. We also have custom topics. And custom topics are sort of like a key thing because it gives you the ability to be in complete control. It's where I can come in and say, this is exactly how I want you to behave. But it's also a way to put your logic in conjunction with other things. And so what we want to do is we want to go and we want to start playing with different options with this so that you can kind of see what you can do with custom topics. Now, we also have custom connectors, and we have connectors. So it says 1,400 plus. I think it's over 1,600 now. This is a growing ecosystem of connectors. Basically, a connector is nothing more than an open API definition or a Swagger file that you're using. And so what we can do with these things is we can wrap them into conversational actions and be able to come in and do that. So let's talk about actions for a second. So actions are the conversational wrappers that you wrap around APIs, around Power Automate flows and inputs, and they can have inputs. So an API has an input, and then it has an output. So you get all of these things. And this will allow you to be able to work inside of topics with an action, or an action can be a top-level asset. And the reason these components are so important is because we introduced, and we're going to be releasing very shortly into general availability, the planner. And the planner is when you hear us talk about gen actions. It's a combination of these things, but the planner is something I want you to understand because it's the thing that's, in my opinion, one of the coolest parts that we've done in a long time. And what it is it's a large language model doing the intent routing and entity extraction, which enables a concept called dynamic chaining. It also allows us to be able to treat knowledge as orchestrated assets. Many of you will think, oh, RAG patterns are great, it's the thing. Well, that's just search and summarize. But what if I could actually say, search the right documents because of what you're talking about so that I can increase the fidelity? It actually makes it a lot more powerful. And then we have the conversational context being able to be passed as part of everything that you're doing when you go to build. So we can also ask follow-up questions, and then there's a couple of different ways to interface with the planner with like triggers and things of that nature. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to move over to a different demo. Let me jump over. All right, so what I want to show you really quick is I just want to show you the setup. The setup is I have this Copilot Studio Copilot that I've built, or a custom agent. You'll see here I've got some knowledge, I've got an action, which is a weather action, and then I've got this approve PO and create PO. So I'm going to click into one of these just to show you a concept that you may not be aware of. If you look at this, it's not really complex here. It's simply a explanation of what I want it to do. And notice if you read this through, you're going to see that it actually gives a lot of detail, but it's also giving the planner instructions on how I want it to behave. Then you're going to go, well, wait a minute. All I see is a Power Automate flow here with a bunch of variables, but I don't see that you define the variables. And that's because over on this side, we have the input. We can go to the details, and we can go into inputs. And in these inputs, notice that we've got descriptions for all these different things like payment terms and all that, but we also have outputs. And an output has the same thing. It has these descriptions that are in this. And descriptions are key, guys, because the descriptions are what are telling the planner how to behave. And even if we go over into knowledge really quick, I want you to see that we can see that we have a description of the knowledge. So a lot of people don't know that they need to go fill all this stuff out. But I would tell you that this is going to be a key thing for you to be able to do as we continue to go forward. So now let's see the fact that I've done this and I've put all these different assets that are available to this. Let's go in here to the test panel and notice that there's this button here that you can click. And when you click that button now, what you're getting is the new planner. And many of you have probably played with this, but what you're going to see is now I can ask a question like, can I book a first-class ticket for my business trip? And notice I orchestrated to knowledge. I didn't say fall back because I don't know what you said. It's I know what you said, and I'm going to answer the question with the knowledge that is the correct piece of knowledge, which you see it select as part of this, and come back. And that's great that we can do that because that's a really awesome thing to be able to go do, but there's actually more that we can do. So let's actually do something a little bit more interesting. What if I want to ask a question more like, what is the address of Microsoft HQ, and what is the weather there? So what this is, I'm going to dynamic chain. I'm going to go get information out of knowledge, and then I'm going to take that information out of a knowledge, and I'm going to stuff it into the input of a weather API, okay? Because that's what I need to do to service this user. So what you're going to see is now it's going to try to build a plan for this, and you'll see it says, oh, I need to go get that information from a knowledge source, and then you can see it filled in Redmond, Washington for me, and it answered this question, and it answered both questions in a single summarization response, right? Good? Is that good? You guys happy? No? Okay. This part's kind of boring. So let's do more. Let's see how much more we can make it go do, right? So let's go and let's do this. Let's come in and say that remember we made it where it could do POs. So let's just do something simple. Let's say create a PO. Then it's going to come in and it's going to say, oh, well, I notice over here on the right, or on the left-hand side, I can't tell my right from my left this morning, that you're going to see that it's going to start asking me questions. Well, remember I said that we could do the entity determination, and so it's asking me these questions. So it's creating those questions to fill it in, and you see me start filling it in, and as you would expect, it's going to ask me the questions, and I'm going to fill in the questions, and this is all going to be great, and we're super happy, right, that it's doing this, and that seems really amazing, right? And you could imagine I could keep doing this, but what if I did something more like this? What if I actually said, actually, make it 120 days with shipping of DHL and a value of $250. I'm going to go backwards, correct something, go forwards, and put something in that I haven't been asked for, and I'm going to answer the question that it's asking me all at the same time. And what does it do? It goes in, backfills everything, creates the PO through the Power Automate flow, but guess what? That instruction set said, I need you to go ahead and get that approved. So guess what? I've already got this set. It went through, auto-approved it, and you can see that it came through and actually does this. Now, this is cool because you just saw a dynamic chain between two different things where the inputs and the outputs are being used together dynamically inside the planner. And I actually built this demo and I thought, man, this is really cool. I really like this, but what I'm really interested in is can I make it do something so complex that I actually want you guys to be able to see? So I'm going to clear that out and I'm going to drop this statement in. And I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit here for you to read this, which is I need to create two POs for Microsoft, one for $750 and one for $1,500, and both ship DHL and have 60-day terms. All right? Seems like a normal statement for me to make. And here we go. Let's watch this thing work. So the first thing it's going to need to do is it's got to create PO1, then it's got to create PO2, then it's got to go do the second, it needs to get the first one approved. That happened really quick because it was below $1,000, but over $1,000, I need to get a manager's approval. So it needs to actually create and Power Automate a whole approval process on the back end. So it does that, and then it's got to come back and tell me it actually did it, and here's a summarization of everything that it just did. And I didn't program a single bit of that. It did it with the planner. Good? All right. So some of you that follow me on YouTube have seen that demo, and if you want that demo, you can go download it in the description of that video. It's the dynamic chaining video, how to. However, let's jump back over to slides for just a bit, because let's talk about some other new stuff that I haven't even done videos on. And I haven't done videos for 2 weeks because I didn't want to ruin the surprise, so you guys get to see it first. You're welcome, I guess, sort of. And on this, one thing that we added is activity. There is an activity screen that is now available inside of Copilot Studio. I'm going to show this really quick for you guys. It'll show session history, it'll give you activity map, and it'll also give you a transcript viewer. So for us to see that, I'm just going to jump back over to where we were, and we'll go over here, and now you have this new tab. And in this new tab, what you're going to see, and I did one last night that I prefer to show just because it had some cool stuff. Actually, I think it's going to be, yeah, this one right here. You'll see here that this one has like a whole bunch of things that I was doing. I had this whole conversation with it, and this is what the planner actually did, so I could go back and look at this. And you can come in and you can look at it, and you can see the information that I plugged in and all this different stuff. But I can also click this, and I can go to the transcript, and we can see the whole transcript that I had and what came out of this. So this is going to be super valuable for the maker to be able to go in and be able to look and say, what did I do to reproduce that, and be able to go back and get that. So I think you guys are going to be super happy about that. As we continue to develop this, you're going to see us add more capability here, but we wanted to highlight that this is a new capability that we have added to the product at this point. All right? So hopefully that's a good new thing for you to see. I'll give you a video, deeper dive on that as well. All right, but I want to get into the thing that I begged the team to go build for you guys. And so I'm super, super excited to tell you guys about component collections, okay? So component collections are where I'm going to be able to create a piece of a Copilot or a piece of a custom agent, and I can use it over and over. I can also do this for topics. I can take topics, actions, entities, knowledge as well, and I can package this into a collection. The thing that makes it really cool is then I can actually take that, because they're solution aware, and I can produce them as managed or unmanaged redistributable packages, okay? With that, because of this, it is going to give you an export and import possibility, and it allows you to say, Mr. Developer, here's your personal development environment. Go develop me these 3 topics or these different things, or here's the different knowledge assets, and write the prompts for that, package it up, and then I can bring it in, and I can consolidate it in. So anyone ever vote that they wanted topic level import and export? Well, guess what? You're getting it today. And not only are you getting that, you're going to get any component within can do this, because you can package whatever you'd like into it for redistribution and reuse. And this is where I'm going to do a quick demo for you of this. Now, what I will do is I'm going to jump over here, and we're going to play with the one that we're in right now. And we'll go over to the overview really quick, just to give you a good starting point. And what I want to do is I want you to see that there's components within this. And you'll see here that I have this MSN weather one. We always like to demo weather, guys. I don't know why. Maybe you guys get creative and send me something on LinkedIn on what is the action you want me to make the new default thing. But it doesn't really matter, because we want to just showcase this particular concept. So underneath settings now, you might have found this little tidbit that's been added in, which is called component collection. And component collections are going to give me the ability to go create these things. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say new here. And in this, I'll just put in that some descriptions here. So I'll give it a name. I'll call it Weather V1. This is just a description, so yes, or name of the collection. And then what you're going to see is that over here there's a solution. So if you already have a solution and you want to push this into a solution that you've already created, you can. But if you don't do that, it's just going to create an empty one for you. So I'm going to go ahead and say next. I'm going to let it create us an empty one. And then here's all the different things that are part of it. And guess what? We can even filter. And that's an action I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go grab that, and I'm going to throw it in. Now, could I add more things? I can absolutely add more things. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to create this collection for me. Now, as it's doing this, you can kind of view that it's creating the solution. It's inserting the assets that I asked for into this. And then by doing this, you're going to create and you're moving it out of the project itself, right? So think of it that what I'm doing is I'm saying this is no longer part of the Copilot. It's part of another solution that's being referenced, right? So be aware, when you start modifying this thing, you will be modifying everything that's using it. And so I would highly encourage you to think about a publishing strategy, because guess what? If I modify it in one, I've modified it for all of them, because it is a component. It is a shared asset now, right? And you'll see here that it's actually listed to say that it's got the PO creation dynamic chaining. So what I want to show you is now that I've created it, I'm going to jump over to a different one. So this is just another agent, just an empty agent that I've created inside of Copilot Studio. And this empty one, you're going to see, doesn't have anything in it, right? It is completely empty. But what I want to show you is that I'm actually going to come in here to the component collections. And what I'm going to do is you can see all the ones that are available. And now we see that weather's there. And you can see a little icon here that says that it's not available, it's not in it, where this one up here is actually installed. And I'm going to go ahead and say add to agent. And so when I add it to the agent, by doing this, I have now said, I want you to have this as part of you, right? I want to make this all part of something. Now, if you recall, I told you that we can actually do this where we have managed and unmanaged solutions. So one of the things I did before I got here is I decided if any of you guys have ever seen me present, I'm a big fan of the Office Space movie. So you can call me a nerd later. But what the things I decided I would do is I was going to create some entities from Office Space, because we need to know our flare type and our TPS report types, because those nobody really knows what those are. And so I decided I wanted to create those entities, and I wanted to repackage them and make them where it could be for reuse. And notice that over here, there's an icon now, and that icon's telling you if it's part of a content collection. And notice that this at the top is saying this is managed. I can't modify this. I have created it, published it, and made it available in a managed state. So I can offer this and think about the impact of this to partners, the ISVs, to people who run COEs. Now you have the ability to package things up and say, here's this version of it, and distribute it out as a managed solution so someone can't necessarily modify those things, but they can use those things as part of their actual agent that they're building. So this is going to be a massive increase in capability for you guys. And you'll see that I could come in and I could try to modify it, but I wouldn't be able to. So, and notice that I'm doing this on entities, right? A lot of people have asked, what if I have my own corporate entities that we want to define that's part of every single implementation? Well, guess what? You just got that. And if you go and watch the video where I show you how to create a template, now you have templates and you have components, reusable assets, okay? So now let's jump back over in and let's look at one other piece of this, which is, remember we added this in, and guess what? Now we have weather, right? So just like that, we're adding all of these things together, and it gives us the ability to pull all of this together. So exciting? You guys are good with this? This is the feature I've been fighting for a year and a half. So with that, I also wanted to, just tell you guys that we brought someone with us today, and I think it's going to be interesting for us to kind of go into, because we brought in Aaron from KPMG, and Aaron, if you'll come join me on the stage. we wanted you guys to not just see some really cool demos and see some of this. I would tell you guys, start thinking of this stuff like salt and pepper and eggs and flour, because the guys over at KPMG have taken all these different little pieces and ingredients, and they've managed it to go push it all together to give you an example of a recipe that you can go build. And so what I want you to do is pay attention to that and think about all these different assets, all these different components that you're starting to see come in, and think about how you assemble those different components together to get that asset that you're looking for. So with that, Aaron, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Dewain. Appreciate it. So good morning, everybody. Unfortunately, I don't have a cool YouTube channel like Dewain's, but I'm going to try to make do with what I can here today. A little bit of introduction. My name is Aaron Purcell. I lead our internal innovation team inside of KPMG. And really, my focus is bringing Gen AI capabilities into the enterprise space. So we're going to talk a little bit about our journey, particularly starting with the M365 Copilot space. So we introduced M365 Copilot in about 4 to 5 months. Most of you remember it went GA'd about a year ago. And right after the holiday break, we went on a rapid pace to roll out M365 Copilot. We felt like it was so impactful. If you think about the KPMG professional, they're living in PowerPoint, they're living in Word. And so the ability to bring some of these capabilities to them where they work and in the flow of work was really important for us. We really focused on adoption and enablement. And really from an adoption enablement perspective, getting how to use the product. We're an auditing firm, so ultimately we're not full of a lot of technologists. So allowing people to be able to understand how to use the tool and apply it to their work was really key for us. Next, we were successful in that rollout. Then we wanted to start to look at extending M365 Copilot. And we really got focused in on Copilot Studio. I am super excited about the stuff Dewain showed, and I can't wait to get back to my desk and start working on it. But we said, okay, so we've been able to introduce this capability. Now we want to be able to extend it and do some more exciting things around it. When we started to look at opportunities, we really wanted to understand where could we insert more in the flow of work. And I'll show you a little demo in a moment about where we took Copilot Studio and we're actually able to introduce that in the flow of work. For us, the idea was we wanted to bring Gen AI where the eyes were. Teams is one of our most popular apps inside of the firm, so being able to bring Gen AI to where they were and being able to ultimately let them see how to use the tool and expand beyond what was historically just a Teams chat interaction with colleagues, we really felt like that was a key for us. And then lastly, we recognized quickly, and we started our journey with Copilot Studio about July timeframe, we realized quickly how powerful that is. And the thing is that, as Dewain showed, it's even more powerful today. We knew we needed governance. And from a perspective of being able to put the right governance in place to do a couple of things. One, make sure we had the right constructs in how we built the Copilot. But the other thing we recognized is you need a playbook for experience. As Dewain showed, there's going to be a lot of experience interactions happening. And getting people to think differently when they're in a chat interaction, to his point, there's context that sometimes Gen AI just doesn't understand. So we wanted to make sure people understood the playbook, they understood how to use it, and we really then focused on how do we put this in the hands of many? We focused on the ability to create a really distributed development model that allowed people to be able to start to use Copilot Studio. Super excited about the embedded agent capabilities that Dewain demonstrated. We know that's going to bring innovation at the ground level. We're really hoping for that organic innovation opportunity so that at the end of the day, people are really improving how they do their job on their own. There'll be a lot of top-down opportunities, but ultimately being able to drive innovation internally and organically is really where our focus is. So just to give you a sense, that's our journey. Now I want to show you a bit of a demo. Set the stage for this demo. As you can see in the view, we have a couple of agents in my Teams chat. The thing that we want to make people understand is how to pin it, how to know where it's at. You're also, as Dewain talked about, the ability to invoke it when I'm in business chat. That'll be the next key piece for us. But in this particular case, we built a Copilot that helped us with understanding technology in a meeting room. As you can imagine, KPMG has dozens and dozens of sites across the US and varying levels of technology in the conference room. So sometimes you're in a conference room, it's Teams enabled, sometimes it's not. And so when I get in the conference room, you can imagine for us, we may have a client there, we may have a big discussion we need to have, and having to fidget with how to run the tech in the conference room has always been a challenge for us. Slows down our meetings, slows down productivity. So we built this Copilot to allow people to ask questions about their conference room they're in, help get some guidance, and maybe even some reference for who to call. So I'll run the demo. A couple of things you'll see. First of all, I'm just going to use natural language. I'm going to ask it to help me. I'm in the Montvale, New Jersey office. I'm in the Moon room, and I can't connect to the Teams meeting in that conference room. And so I'm going to use natural language, Gen AI generated. We've got content sitting on the back end that's got all the information. And so it's going to go run. It's going to pull that content down, and it's going to give me the feedback of what I need to do while I'm in that room to enable the Teams. As always, the demos run a little slow, even though we recorded it. And the other thing you'll see is when it comes back, it's going to give me a lot of the great detail. What we loved about Copilot Studio was that we could ultimately combine non-deterministic and deterministic. So the first scenario was non-deterministic. I asked it a question using natural language. It told me what to do. Then the non-deterministic was that helpful? Did that get what you needed done? And if the answer was no, as you could see here, we inserted a bit of a deterministic feature that said, well, if this didn't help you, here's who you need to contact. Click on this link to go to the ticketing system and get help. So we really are excited about that Copilot Studio blend of deterministic versus non-deterministic so that you can really craft the conversations. Ultimately, I think people really enjoy that natural language flow, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to script a little bit, and that's where we see Copilot Studio being a great fix for us, and super excited about the Dewain stuff. So wanted to show you that demo. Thank you all very much. Appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thanks for that. And one last little bit, guys. Sure, we can talk about one last little thing, because believe it or not, I did a good job and I managed my time. So that means you get more, right? So what I wanted to talk to you about is one last piece. Make sure that you can go out and try Copilot Studio at aka.ms/try Copilot Studio. Many of you, some of my videos just wanted to see me say that live. So anyway, I do want to add one little tidbit for you guys. Because of the fact that we also did a lot of announcement, and there's a lot of stuff coming out in a preview space around autonomous copilots, right? We have this whole thing is very confusing to a lot of people, and I get the question all the time, why is this different than Power Automate, right? So I'm going to give you some tidbit on that really quick. And you're getting the talk track that I'm planning for a video. It's coming, so you get a redistributable of this. But let me explain what the difference is. If you go back and you realize what I just talked about with the planner, and we showcased that planner and how that planner was figuring everything out, if you change in your mind and stop thinking about business process automation as a single thing, but you say business process automation, Power Automate flows are just examples. Those are just tools that someone can use. And you start thinking about autonomous agents more like, in the description, I'm giving a job description. Then I'm going to take knowledge, which is information that is information available to this virtual person or this virtual agent that I'm creating, or autonomous agent. Then I take a bunch of tools, which are actions that help this thing do things, and be able to kick off business processes or to go and look something up and things of that nature. When you add all of this together, and then you add the ability to trigger that thing through things other than a conversational or chat trigger, this is where the beauty comes in. Because now I have a situation where I can just write a job description, give a set of tools, give a set of rules to follow, just like you would do any employee. And I've now created myself a scenario where I can go end to end on this. I have a demo of this. If you come over to the booth, I can show this to you and let you see it work in real time. But the beauty behind this is the work that we did in synchronous copilots, or synchronous custom agents, rather, get my marketing right. You will find that that is the engine, that is the heartbeat behind that autonomous agent. So when you're building these things and you're building these assets, you want to start thinking about this. And I showed you these component collections, which now you can make these reusable assets. So all of this stuff is coming together so I can build all of these things. And then I'm just building a virtual job description with a set of tools and a set of piece of information with an instruction set on how to behave, and it becomes a thing that will absolutely floor you and its capabilities. So I definitely want you guys to go check that out. If you want to come see me at the session for that, at the booth, we'll be at the booth for the rest of the day and the afternoons. And just want to say thank you for everybody for coming out. And if you have questions and things for us, what I will do is I'll open up. I've got 5 minutes that you can come to the mics and we'll answer questions for you. But please come to the mic if you're going to do it. After that time, we will go out this door over here into the hallway, and I will hang until everybody gets their questions answered. And I've got some supports to come help us with this. If there are questions, I just want to make sure we clear the room for the next speaker. So we'll be outside that door, but if anybody wants to come to the mic and ask any type of question, we'll be happy to do that. No questions, because I must have made it completely, perfectly delivered today, right? So we have, looks like we have someone coming for a question. Excellent.
Okay, don't be mad. But my question is for the KPMG guy, which I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
We can cut his mic on. Come on up, Aaron.
What is it? Alan? Thank you.
All right.
Sorry.
So the guy's Aaron, so go ahead.
Sorry, Aaron.
That's okay, it's all good, it's all good.
It's all good.
So my question is around, it looks like when you did your Copilot stuff, right? You implemented first, but then the last thing you did was implement governance. Is that right?
Yeah, so Copilot Studio governance.
But not.
Yeah, not the M365. We actually had the governance for M365 separate as part of our rollout, but then we implemented governance for Copilot Studio because we knew that was going to expand or extend it, and that allowed us to have governance of how we were going to expand and extend.
So for your governance for Copilot 365, did you do that at the same time, or
Yep.
did you do it before?
Before, we did it before as our rollout. So we were able to make it as part of our enablement. Correct. As part of our enablement and adoption package, we said this is how we're going to govern the use of it. And then we said, we saw the benefit of Copilot Studio, and then we put governance for that.
And was that just Copilot for the governance, or did you already have like an AI governance group as a whole?
We did, yes. So we have a trusted AI principle that we're adhering to, and that governance aligned to our trusted AI principle.
And, so you didn't find that they were like getting in the way?
No, not really.
Okay, so you somehow worked with them to be able to get that.
I think it was, I don't want to call it an existential moment, but there was a lot of momentum behind it.
Yes.
So it was a much faster path to realization than we've seen before.
All right, that's what I wanted to ask. Thank you. Just clarification on all that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Worries. All right, we have another.
If I wanted to use a document as context, but not put it into the knowledge, can you do that?
So you want to use a document as context, but not put it in knowledge?
Right.
So in what way would you want to do that?
So like, let's say I wanted to scan a resume versus a job description and give it as a kind of a
So I will go ahead and tell you that as part of the development that I went through to build the demo I did today, I flirted with an edge. And that edge that I flirted with is there is responsible AI controls that Microsoft has through a team that supports us. So think of it that we have a baseline generative AI team that handles responsible AI, and then each product team has another layer that sits on top of that, in a sense, right? And so that base layer, actually, one of the things that we use to protect is to make sure that you don't process resume or to be able to do something like that, because we don't want hiring decisions made by an AI. That should be done by a human. So there's reasons behind that. So I think you'll probably struggle to get it to do that just because of that, because I had to flirt with that a bit.
But like, how about PowerPoint to answer some questions?
Well, that's where you do it in the description, in the prompt description. So you would want to put that data not in a document, but put it in that particular location, and you can version that out. Now you can draft it inside of Word, but you need to convert it over into an actual prompt to be able to give it an instruction set. And where that's done inside of Copilot Studio is, if I flip over right here, you would do it here. So you hit Edit in the overview screen, and you give it the instructions here. So this is where you'll want to do it, because part of the problem is you are dealing with token limits that you can do as part of it, and so you need to form that into a prompt. But a lot of people draft that inside like Word documents and things of that nature and do their version management, and then they push it in. But it's more of a copy and paste action to pull that off for the scenario you're talking about. If you're trying to hit it as RAG, it's completely different. Makes sense? Cool. And looks like we have another. I will take that question outside just because I'm at time. But thank you guys so much. Thanks for coming. Make sure that if you haven't done your survey or give us feedback, we have a QR code up here on the screen. Thank you so much, and have a great Ignite. And if you have any other questions or whatever and want to talk to the rest of us, we'll be right outside that door in just a minute. Thank you, guys.